Yo, Nicki Minaj just did something that nobody had on their 2026 bingo card. And when I say nobody, I mean fans, critics, and even people who've been in the industry with her for years, because this isn't just a tweet. This isn't a vague political take. This is Nicki Minaj going fully, loudly, unapologetically pro-MAGA, and Black American celebrities are not staying quiet about it. Some are calling her out, some are distancing themselves, some are straight up saying she has no idea what she just walked into. And the wildest part, this didn't come out of nowhere. There's a paper trail, there are receipts, and once you see how Nicki used to talk about Trump compared to what she's saying now, the reaction makes a lot more sense. So let's break down what Nicki said, why people feel betrayed, and how Black Hollywood is responding to what might be the most controversial pivot of her entire career. So first, let's set the scene. Nicki Minaj shows up at a Trump-aligned event in Washington, D.C. Cameras are rolling. The room is packed with conservative donors, politicians, and MAGA insiders. And then Nicki grabs the mic and casually drops one of the most viral sound bites of the year. She calls herself Donald Trump's #1 fan. Not joking, not sarcastic, dead serious.
I am probably the president's #1 fan.
She praises him, defends him, and positions herself squarely on his side of the culture war. And immediately the internet goes quiet for about 3 seconds and then absolutely loses its mind. Because this isn't just about politics, this is about whiplash. For years, Nicki Minaj was publicly anti-Trump. She criticized his immigration policies. She talked about children being separated from their parents at the border. She said very clearly that she would never jump on the Donald Trump bandwagon. That was her energy. That was the Nicki people thought they knew. And now fast forward, she's standing next to him, praising him, donating serious money to Trump-aligned initiatives, and calling him the best president ever. So the question everyone starts asking is simple. What changed? And Black American celebrities were some of the first people to ask it out loud. One of the loudest reactions came from DL Hughley, who did not sugarcoat a single word. DL basically said, Nicki has completely lost the plot. When Nicki tried to speak on issues involving children and education, DL fired back and said she shouldn't be lecturing anyone about protecting kids, given the people she's chosen to defend in her personal life. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't polite, it was one of those moments where you could tell he wasn't trying to go viral. He was genuinely angry. And that's a theme you see again and again with these reactions. This isn't playful shade, this isn't clout chasing. A lot of these responses feel personal. Then you've got Don Lemon, who got dragged directly into this after Nicki went after him online using a homophobic slur. And that's when things really escalated. Don Lemon responded on air, and he didn't just clap back, he went for the jugular. He accused Nicki of showing open disdain for Black Americans and LGBTQ people while benefiting from their support for over a decade. He questioned how she could support Trump while being an immigrant herself. And he asked her fans a question that made a lot of people uncomfortable. Why are you still supporting someone who clearly doesn't respect you? That moment shifted the tone of the entire conversation, because now this wasn't just Nicki versus critics, this was Nicki versus communities that helped build her career. And then you have people like Tiffany Pollard, also known as New York, who spoke on it and said the quiet part out loud. She said people can still love Nicki's music, but the way she's moving right now feels like a slap in the face to her LGBTQ fan base. Not cancel worthy, but disappointing. And that word kept coming up over and over again, disappointed. But the reaction that really hit different came from Samuel L. Jackson, because Samuel didn't even have to say Nicki's name for everyone to know exactly who he was talking about. He's been one of Trump's most outspoken celebrity critics for years, and when asked about Black celebrities aligning themselves with Trump, Samuel said they were either cowards or bootlickers willing to do anything for a check. He talked about growing up during segregation. He talked about recognizing the same energy, the same hostility, the same people who never wanted him in the room in the first place. And his message was clear. If you think these people are your allies, you're fooling yourself. That's when the narrative really shifted from Nicki made a controversial choice to Nicki might not understand the game she's playing, because a lot of Black commentators started saying the same thing. This doesn't look like empowerment, it looks like tokenism. Dr. Umar Johnson took it even further and said Nicki's being used strategically. According to him, MAGA needed a new high-profile Black woman to push their message, especially after figures like Candace Owens started drifting away from Trump on certain issues, and Nicki, with her massive platform, cultural influence, and willingness to go all in publicly, fit the role perfectly. Umar wasn't laughing, he wasn't joking. He said watching Nicki echo MAGA talking points while raising a Black child was disturbing. And then there's the industry silence, or rather the not so silent signals. Fans started noticing certain artists no longer interacting with Nicki. People pointed out unfollows, others noticed collaborators suddenly going quiet. And whether every single unfollow was intentional or not, the perception mattered, because in Hollywood, distance is a message, and that brings us to the part nobody likes talking about: motive. Some people think Nicki genuinely changed her beliefs. Others think this is about money, influence, and staying relevant in a media landscape that rewards outrage. Lizzo even suggested that aligning with MAGA has become profitable for celebrities whose mainstream momentum is slowing down. Her point was simple: controversy sells, and nothing guarantees attention faster than going against your own audience. But here's where the tension really sits. Nicki didn't just quietly change her politics. She made it a spectacle. She donated large sums publicly. She praised Trump loudly. She attacked critics aggressively. She didn't just cross the line. She sprinted across it and dared people to follow. And that's why the reaction feels so intense. Because to a lot of Black American celebrities, this isn't about left versus right. It's about history. It's about memory. It's about knowing how these power structures work and seeing someone walk into them smiling, thinking they're finally being accepted. Then you've got Cardi B, who couldn't be more different from Nicki politically at this point. Cardi has openly criticized Trump for years, supported progressive candidates, and spoken candidly about policies affecting poor and working class people. While she didn't drop a Nicki diss, fans immediately noticed her liking posts calling out celebrities who sell out their community for power. Coming from Cardi, that wasn't random, that was intentional, and it's wild when you think about it, because this is the same woman Nicki has been feuding with for years. Now suddenly Nicki's political pivot has made Cardi look like the more grounded, socially aware voice in the room, something nobody would have predicted a few years ago. Another name that kept coming up in conversations was Jay-Z. Jay has openly criticized Trump, supported criminal justice reform, and aligned himself with movements that directly oppose MAGA ideology. And while Jay didn't comment publicly, insiders and fans alike pointed out that Nicki taking shots at him during her rant wasn't accidental. That wasn't random. That was Nicki swinging at one of the most powerful Black men in entertainment, someone who represents the complete opposite of what MAGA stands for. That move alone made a lot of Black celebrities side-eye her, because going after Jay-Z isn't just a personal jab, it's symbolic. It's Nicki signaling that she's no longer aligned with the cultural establishment she once wanted approval from. And when LeBron James liked posts criticizing celebrities who support Trump while benefiting from Black culture, that raised eyebrows too. LeBron has never been subtle about where he stands politically. He famously clashed with Trump during his presidency and has consistently used his platform to call out injustice. So even a small interaction from him carried weight, because when someone with that level of influence distances themselves, it sends a message. Because if this was ignorance, it would be easier to forgive. But if this is a calculated pivot, a decision to lean into MAGA because it guarantees attention, protection, or relevance, then the backlash makes sense. That's why so many reactions sound less shocked and more disappointed, like watching someone you grew up with make a choice you know they're going to regret. And that's where the tension really sits now. Nicki Minaj isn't being treated like someone who made a controversial opinion. She's being treated like someone who crossed a cultural line, a line that most Black American celebrities, regardless of party affiliation, have refused to cross for decades. And there's a moment at one of these Trump events where Trump jokes about Nicki's wealth compared to billionaires in the room. People laugh. Nicki laughs too. And critics said that moment said everything, because she thought she was laughing with them and they thought they were laughing at her. Now, is that fair? That depends on who you ask. But perception is reality in celebrity culture. And the perception right now is that Nicki Minaj has positioned herself as an outlier in Black Hollywood. And here's the thing, she's allowed to. She's a grown woman. She can support whoever she wants. Nobody's arguing against her right to choose. What people are saying is that choices come with consequences, and those consequences don't always show up as cancellations or lost streams. Sometimes they show up as quiet doors closing, calls not being returned, rooms you used to be welcomed in suddenly feeling cold. That's the tension hanging over this entire situation, because Nicki isn't acting like someone who thinks she made a mistake. She's acting like someone who thinks she finally figured it out, like she cracked a code everyone else is too scared to touch. And that confidence is exactly what makes this story so compelling to watch. Is she playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers? Or is she being played by people who know exactly how to use her image? That's the question Black American celebrities keep circling back to. And it's the reason this conversation isn't dying down. Because love her or hate her, Nicki Minaj going pro-MAGA isn't just a headline, it's a moment. One that's forcing people to confront how politics, power, and celebrity collide in real time. And whether her career survives this or not, one thing is clear: nothing about her relationship with Black Hollywood will ever be the same again. Now I want to know what you think. Is Nicki standing in her truth, or is she walking into a situation she doesn't fully understand? Drop your thoughts in the comments, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll catch you in the next one.